Guess what? We're live.
Hey, guess what? It's Jess the Ska Kid and the Knights, actually, of the Round Table.
Give points, as always.
Beer guy.
As sometimes.
Currently.
And on the phone this evening with us is Lee from the band Castle Black from New York. Hi, Lee.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for doing a phone interview with us. I'm excited to have this as our sneak peek of who you guys are so people get to listen in March when you come.
Yeah, we're really excited for coming in March.
So let's start with, since it's just you on the phone, an introduction. If you'd like to introduce your band, who is Castle Black? Where are you from? And when you give the introduction as to who is who, say what they play as well.
Okay, so yeah, so we're based in New York. We've had a lot of kind of changes recently. So we have a new drummer who came out from Detroit, who was on our last tour with us, Joey Russo. So he's not on the albums that you have, but we're working on some new stuff. So that's kind of a new transition. And bass, we're also kind of just in a transition. We've had a few fill-in bass players. So that's kind of been a rotating thing for about 9 months since the original bass player, Lisa, left last February. So the next album is kind of going to be all new rhythm section-wise, which is kind of exciting. We've had Susan on bass pretty much for almost a year. She's filling in even before that for shows that Lisa couldn't do, so she's been kind of a regular player as well. When we come to see you in March, we're actually having another fill-in on bass then, a bassist from Detroit. So bass has been kind of rotating for the last year.
Gotcha. So how long has Castle Black been a thing?
About since 2015. That's when we did that. We released the first EP in 2015. And that was kind of when that version, of the band kind of solidified, and we had the first album, and then that had pretty much gone through now.
So you've been, it would seem, kind of busy because on your Bandcamp and SoundCloud, and even on some YouTube and your Facebook, you have quite a number of things available for people to listen to. Yeah,
I mean, we try to. It's hard. We try to get everything on all of the major places for people to look for it. But we have 4 EPs now. So I guess pretty much every year we've released an EP. We've kind of done a single sometimes before the EP, but there's always been 4 to 5 song EP every year, and then some videos and stuff like that to kind of just keep things fresh and stuff. I don't know. It just seems like to keep people's attention, just trying to release stuff as often as possible instead of doing one wonderful thing, but just trying to keep things coming out. So that's kind of what we try to do in between touring and stuff like that.
So what is the history of your band? How did Castle Black come to be?
Well, in 2015, I was playing in another band with the bassist, at the time who's on the last 3 albums. So when the other bass player, when she was leaving, I had asked Lisa to join Castle Black, and we needed to find a drummer, and then she, just through friends of friends, had found Matt Bronner, who was on most of the albums. We had one other drummer on one of the albums. So it just kind of was connections, friends of friends, and because Lisa and I had been playing together and stuff like that. So that was kind of the original, the original formation of the band.
Gotcha. How did you come up with the name?
The name is a Game of Thrones reference, which people either know if they watch the show or they don't. So I read the books, kind of before before 2015. And so kind of was really like the idea of kind of what the castle represented in the story and stuff. And then, the whole show came out, so everyone kind of knows it because of watching the show, or again, if you don't watch the show, it just, it comes with this name. So yeah, it did come from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we had a few over here in our crew waving their hands like, woohoo, we watched Game of Thrones. So you'll be in good company when you show up March 10th. So, with your band, it would sound like you're kind of the driving force. So who, how does your music come to be? When you sit down and you write and you have band practice, how are your songs created? Is there one person who says, okay, I have this idea, here are the lyrics, you guys play this? Or is it a culmination of collaboration of all the musicians in the group?
I mean, it's a mix. It's, I think it's like in the past, I mean, I guess the driving force really is like, I'll write a song on guitar and vocals. It's just kind of how I tend to work, as opposed to, going into a room and jamming. That just doesn't really work for me. So I'll usually have a song, on guitar, vocals, maybe some other ideas, and then we bring it to the band. And that's how all these previous albums were created, in that fashion. And then, drummer would bring drum ideas and bass would bring bass ideas. And then we would just kind of like take it from there and then, just keep working on the song and listening and seeing what needed to be changed, like up to the point that we would record it. A lot of times we would play the song, live before, a couple months before recording, just to kind of like see how it went and things like that. So generally, that's kind of how all the other, and even now, even with the new people, it's kind of similar. It's like I'll have an idea. We only just started working on the new stuff, and then bring it kind of once the guitar and the vocals are kind of where I want them to be, and then have the drummer work on it and give drum parts and other stuff too. So and the same with bass. That's kind of this time around. We're actually working on stuff right now. The new drummer, so Joey, is amazing to work with drum parts and stuff like that. And then Susan has done working on some bass stuff, so it's kind of going in the same way. But it's like every kind of rhythm section, it becomes a different thing, which is really, really awesome. And I'm really excited about kind of the next album and what both of them are contributing. So it's been kind of exciting in that regard.
Well, it's exciting, I guess, from a listener standpoint, to hear that your lineup has continued to change as of late, but you continue to go on tour and record new material. So where is that drive coming from? How are you able to, continue to find people to sub and still have your sound and move forward?
That's a good question. Because sometimes, like, looking back on this past year, it seems kind of crazy, because I know a lot of people, might just take a break and pause and, kind of, I don't know, reset the whole thing. I guess it's become kind of just this driving force, like, in my life. And I don't know. I mean, I just to watch something go from, in 2015 where it was like nothing, and, just to work on it for so long, and then, to feel like you have to stop because, just something, someone has to leave, or, someone's life circumstances change, et cetera. It's disappointing. So it's like you just keep, you just kind of keep pushing it on. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think it's just this thing, because it kind of becomes more than what's going on at any given moment in time. And it becomes about the music and about just kind of getting it out there and the experiences you're having, the people you meet through the music, and just kind of, like, it wasn't time at any of those times, for this project to end. So I think that's kind of what, it came down to too, was just, well, are there people who, wanting to pick it up from the point where someone else, had to, unfortunately, leave it. And I think, I got lucky in a lot of ways, like, just circumstantially, like, people I met at various times, like, for example, Joey, the new drummer, we played a show with them in Detroit, and I randomly found them looking for bands to play with in Detroit, and we had, just talked after the show and stayed in touch. And then my drummer, Matt at the time, had gotten a new job that wasn't going to allow him to tour. So then I was like, what am I going to do about November? Reached out to Joey, so things like that. And he ended up being, an amazing fit. So it's just weird the way those things happen. So I guess I kind of also feel like the way everything has lined up in terms of people coming in and out, has kind of encouraged me as well to kind of keep it going. So
How do you logistically work out practice, creating new music where it sounds like you have people who are flying in to like play with you?
It really is kind of, I mean, so with him, I didn't play with him until I was out in Detroit for something else, like the first week of October, and it was the first time we ever played the songs together. And I was like floored because like, I mean, he knew them like perfectly, and that was amazing because I had all these really horrible experiences in New York in between Matt leaving, and you know, him kind of joining, with just people coming and not knowing the songs and acting like they knew the songs, and people were like trying to join the band too, so it was kind of crazy. So I was really, really impressed that he, you know, was able to do that. And then we basically practiced the night before tour when my bassist was then there, and you know, that's just how good of a drummer he is. With other people, I'm just saying, what else have we done? With the Detroit, well, the thing coming up in March is one of his friends actually who's filling in, but Susan's also playing some of that. So that, I mean, again, we'll probably do something similar, like try to get out to Detroit, do some stuff, and, you know, definitely practice the night before with the bassist and go from there. Joey's in New York now, so that has, you know, solved the issue of like Detroit and a Brooklyn thing. But, yeah, I mean, you just kind of trust that people are going to come through in a way. I was so nervous though, believe me. Like I was really nervous because I just didn't know what was going to happen.
Is it,
so, yeah.
if you're finding people from other, you know, places to play with you, how would you describe the New York music scene in regards to the type of music that you play? Is it difficult to find people who want to play with you or who are consistent, or what's the issue?
That's so true. I mean, it feels like, I mean, honestly, I love New York so much, and I've been here, and I've been living here over 10 years, and I love it here. But also, like, there's also a part of me that, like, I've always liked traveling, I've always liked going to other places, and, like, through touring, it's like you get to see all these parts of, well, right now, just throughout the U.S., but you see all these other places and meet all these people you wouldn't meet otherwise. And I think there's always a part of me that in New York has felt like disconnected, but I feel disconnected everywhere. So it's not necessarily New York, but I have had trouble here. It's either, you know, people are in so many bands, and I don't know. I like playing with people that I like have another connection with or something, you know, just like a genuine connection. So I think like finding that's like really hard. So I don't know, I feel like the touring opened up all these opportunities to meet other people that I wasn't maybe meeting here, and that's kind of, you know, a good thing. But yeah, logistically it can be challenging at first.
So how long have you been playing and making music?
I've been playing guitar for, I guess a little over 10 years. And I don't know, the songwriting came about, it's weird because I didn't really play, like, I didn't play as a kid, but I dance, I love dance, and I love rhythm, I love music, so when I started playing guitar, it kind of just, like, all came together, because, like, you know, with dance, you like, perform, and then you have the rhythm thing, I wrote a lot of poetry, like, in high school, so I think, like, bringing all that together, like, once I started playing guitar, it kind of just, I don't know, that kind of all just made sense. But yeah, it was kind of went in that fashion.
What made you pick up a guitar?
I ask myself that now too, because when I was like 6, I wanted to play the drums, and my parents were not really having that. I also, like, no one in my family was really musical.
Can I pause you for just a second? Because this seems to be an ongoing theme. We recently, the last 3 bands that we've interviewed, okay, the people who, we had 2 drummers and you now who play guitar but wanted to play drums, all said, we wanted to play drums when we were little, but our parents wouldn't let us. USA and across the world, let your children fucking play music regardless of what instrument it is.
Yeah, oh, I can't believe that. That's like, I kind of want to meet them because it's like, it's such a sad thing. But I remember my mom distinctly being like, you can play the recorder. And I was like, I don't want to play the recorder. So I was pretty stubborn, but I feel like if I had been a little like smarter at that point, I would have just like been like, okay, play the recorder and learn music. But
that's not a less annoying instrument.
Yeah. No,
I'd rather
not
hear
at all.
drums
Before
than
that.
hot cross buns.
Right.
Recorders are fucking annoying.
Oddly, I saw a band, like, I don't know, it was a couple years ago that they had a recorder in this band, like just like an indie rock band.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were called, but that was.
That kid was in the 4th grade, and he'd gotten really good.
that wasn't.
Yeah. So basically, it was like when I was finally it's because like I think I really kind of wanted to play, I just really did, and that would never left. So then as an adult, I was living in New York, and it was like, well, okay, drums are hard here. I mean, obviously people play them, but I just didn't in my head really know like where would I practice, like what would I do? So I just kind of like randomly was like, oh, well, the guitar, and I love the guitar, and I really do. So it became a great thing, and I actually ended up just taking some drum lessons like at various points over the last couple of years. I'm terrible, but at least like I have a practice space now. I can just hang around.
Do you play in any other bands, Lee, or is Castle Black your only thing?
It's the only thing right now. Yeah, I mean, like there were some things I did before, but yeah, I mean, it's just so much work. I mean, I would love to actually just play in someone else's band and just like, yeah, play guitar or something. Because it's so much work. So I think like I would, but I still know where I would find the time. But yeah, right now this is pretty much it. Like I'll do some stuff like on the side, just random things, but nothing else at the moment.
What is the music scene like in New York? Where is it that you're playing, and what types of bands are you playing with?
I mean, the scene here is cool. It's like any other big city, I suppose, in that there's lots of small scenes and stuff within this larger scene, and there's definitely a lot of places closing down, and then there are also a lot of places opening up. So, even just in Brooklyn, a lot of stuff has shifted from Williamsburg to Bushwick, and even like Ridgewood, Queens now, and further out that way. There's also like a pretty decent house show scene to a certain extent, as much as you can do it in New York. Even my bassist has a loft apartment, and she's been throwing shows in the loft, which is super fun. And we've gone to some other people who've played some other, people who have bigger spaces. We played those shows. We're doing like a stripped down set in a couple of weeks at this guy's apartment in Bushwick. So there's a lot of that stuff happening. And then there's like a lot of, cool, interesting venues around. Like we play a lot like in Bushwick, Williamsburg still a little bit, and Manhattan a little bit, but like honestly, like the scene in Manhattan has gotten, I don't know, there's not many venues I love there right now. Couple, Coney Island Baby, which just opened up, which was pretty cool, but like so many of them, like on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, it's like just everything's changed so much down there. So, like when pushing bands out at 11 o'clock because the DJs are coming in and it's going to be this huge dance party.
Yeah.
So
we heard that from another band that we interviewed from New York. The Pandemic said that there's this weird dichotomy of live music, which New York is known for, but now, the art districts are becoming, you need to be quiet at a certain time, and we're closing this venue and then putting a new one up over here because now it's a dance club, but they don't get shut down, but live music does. So
yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, and that's exactly it. So that's why, like, we just try to make, like, decisions about where we like playing, and a lot of that ends up now, has moved out, kind of just further out in Bushwick and places like that. So, it's just kind of finding, like, if something closes down that you like finding something else. But again, it's like with everyone kind of, it's not that everyone knows each other who plays music here, but there are, like, again, small scenes and stuff. So it's kind of easy to kind of see, like, what's going on once you've kind of been playing here for a bit.
do you find it easy? Like, first, okay, this is going to be another multi-part question. Calm down. Is it easy to find venues, or do you have to kind of jump through hoops and, like, get the runaround? Or have you established yourself enough now that just through different connections it's easier to book? And how often are you playing out?
I'm gonna forget all of the rest of that, so I'm gonna answer the first part first.
Okay.
Which, I forgot that part already. Let me go with how often are we playing out?
Yes.
Here, in New York, we've cut back a lot. What's probably not going to sound like a lot, but maybe 2 shows a month. And honestly, it's like some people say, like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Like, it doesn't affect our draw. Like, it just doesn't. It's like New York's so busy. It's like you have some friends who could make it, and then some friends who can make it the other time. So yeah, about 2 times a month here, and then obviously we're like trying to always do other stuff during that month, like elsewhere, whether that's like a short weekend trip or just New Jersey or Connecticut or something in between the longer tours. What was the first part of the question?
How easy is it to book in New
Yeah.
York?
Initially it wasn't very easy, and it's like you have to take all these shit gigs because you don't know anyone. Like you don't, especially if you're your band, you just started and you never did any other, anything else. So now, it's pretty easy, for the venues that we play and stuff. And it's a lot of times too, I think because we're touring so much, we'll get contacted from other touring bands who booked something here and, just are looking for bands to play with them. So that's been happening a lot. Honestly, for the last 6 months, I've not really had to kind of seek shows out, which is really good. People will ask us, and we've done the same. So that's kind of good. So it's easy here now, and I think that's why it's really great with the touring and stuff. Meeting other bands, and if they need help here, we can help them here. If we need help somewhere else, where it's harder for us, they can help us there. So that's kind of that's been great, and especially again with bassist Susan having his house shows, that's a really great way to be able to help other out of town bands, and then hopefully be able to play in their city too. So it's kind of a nice community that keeps growing.
Would you prefer a house show or a venue show?
Well, there's I prefer the great sound, at a venue, if it's great sound. But, there's venues we play at right now that, the sound has been horrible, and it's a better sound, actually, at house venues where the person, who's running the house just happens to be really good, with sound. So it kind of depends. But, just the energy at house shows, I just feel like you can't compare anything to that, and you can't beat it. And almost every show that stands out in my head has been, at a house venue. So there's just something about being that close to a crowd and it's just the energy. It's so different. So yeah, I would take that any day over a, pristine sounding, amazing place. Maybe where everyone's just standing around.
Boy, we were
Standing around, crossing their arms and just nodding.
I stand around at shows, so it's I get it, but it really makes a difference when people are
Yes, as I
I
get
don't know.
older, I'm I'm just gonna sit and listen politely. I've reached matinee old lady stage at a show where I'm this is nice.
There's a chair.
The music does move me to where I want to move, but then you get hurt and you're oh please, I can't go to work today.
So yeah.
So let's talk about new music on the way from you guys and your upcoming tour. So start with the new music, because you mentioned it at the start, that you have new stuff in the works, a new album. Tell us about that and when people can project to hear new music from you.
Well, there are 3 songs that are going to be recorded at the end of January. And kind of the plan is, I think, to do some kind of vinyl, 7-inch, I guess, 1 or 2 songs. And then, and just do, release them as singles, but also do a 7-inch, something with those 3, something like that. And then record maybe 3 more in the spring, later spring, and then put them all together for an EP over late summer, I guess. Kind of plan now.
Gotcha.
I really wanted to get these like recorded early, like late last year, so that we could like have some singles put out there. But then, like with all the band changes and that stuff, it just kind of got pushed back. So that's the plan right now. I mean, we have everything like booked and stuff, so it's just a matter of songs are like pretty much done, but there's still like a lot to be done in the next couple of weeks, so it's a little overwhelming. But that's kind of the timeline. So we'll probably release at least the first single, I'd say, in March.
And you start tour when?
Oh God, March.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
So new music and a tour. So tell us about this route. Where are you headed? How long is it gonna be? Where are you going?
Well, March is a little over 2 weeks. It's kind of similar to what we did in November, but we're here going up to Detroit, Grand Rapids, bringing over to Milwaukee, seeing you guys. It's Kenosha. You guys in Kenosha? Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going there. Indiana. We still have a lot that's not booked, but then like Nashville, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Louisville again, and then kind of probably down like Virginia, North Carolina, definitely Norfolk, Richmond, Virginia, and then we're swinging back up to Troy, New York, and then Ohio, and then Indianapolis, and then back to Detroit. There's a lot of holes in there still. I'm kind of freaking out a bit because it really should be booked fully by now, and it's not. But it's it's a little over half booked. But that's kind of the general idea for March, and then we're actually doing another like weekish thing in April, kind of connect with that, which will be more just like straight south. Like we're actually gonna make it to Savannah on that one, which is kind of exciting.
Wow.
So it's kind of good booking too at the same time, because it's like if someone doesn't have March, it's just you're just like, well, can you do it in April? So that's been a real time saver.
So where are you missing dates?
The open dates?
Yeah, like where do you still need to get booked?
Like everywhere. Well, because now I think
You just gave us a whole bunch of cities, not everywhere.
I know. Because I don't, because I'm the worst at this. So like, I honestly I kind of just look at it and I'm like, oh wait, who will give us a show in between there and there? Is it under 7 hours? Like we'll do it even if it doesn't make sense on the route. Logically, Cincinnati would make sense in between Fort Wayne and Murfreesboro. In between Louisville and Norfolk, there's like 3 days. So I don't even know what I'm doing for that yet. I mean, honestly, March 17th, anyone has a show for the March 17th because it's St. Patrick's Day, and now it's like getting late, and I've contacted like so many places. So it's, that's kind of in the like Charlotte-ish, North Carolina area would be, I suppose. But so I don't really map it out like every day should be a city. I do initially, but then it becomes too much. Like it's like when you're doing this and you're doing like all this other stuff too, it's kind of just like you kind of make these decisions, and even if it doesn't make the most sense logically for your route. And then in between like Richmond, Virginia and Troy, New York, like so something like, I don't know, like Northeast Pennsylvania would be, perfect. So, but again, we're not looking for perfection with these routes.
So
we're just looking for, something good.
I'll invite you to, after this interview, shoot a message with those dates and the area, like what you're thinking, and then we'll try to connect you. Because like you said Ohio, and I'm like, oh, Ego and the Maniacs is right there. And then we've got Ryan from, Lazy Ass Destroyer. So that's enough, like those are two different parts. I think it is Toledo and Cincinnati both, so.
Thank you, I will definitely do that. Yeah, it's Toledo, I mean, that might work somewhere. Like that's what I mean. Like it's just kind of like, hey, so many things could work. That's really awesome. I appreciate that.
This leads me to my next question. When you are booking a tour, Lee, do you do research as to, okay, here, I want to go to Milwaukee. I'm going to look up Milwaukee bands and contact them to see if I can get into a venue? Or do you say, I want to go to this city, it's 7 hours, which is the closest from our next point. I'm just going to look for venues and contact them directly and then try to get local bands. How does your setup of tour go?
It's like a mix. I mean, I have a really extensive spreadsheet at this point. Generally, I mean, it'd be great if we knew a band well enough, there, just kind of reach out to them. But again, that's a lot of work. So it's like if I could just do the initial, reach out to the venues and then, find bands, like that's fine too. And that's generally been my kind of approach is like see like places like other people have been playing or places I've heard about, which I'll make notes about that in the spreadsheet as well. And then, or places we've been that have been really great to play at, just go back to them. A lot of times that's the easiest thing to do. And I'd say like it's probably about half of the time that the venues want you to find the band. So a lot of times it's like we will find the bands, and sometimes that's better because times like if a venue just doesn't care, then they're not going to do it. We've had that happen, or they're just going to like give you someone that doesn't make sense. But if they do it well, it's such a huge relief on our part. So it's kind of like it's like a real mix. Unfortunately, because it would be nice if it was just like one thing. But even
it's never just one thing. It's like multiple things.
Yeah. But then it's also because it's like, well, do you rely on, again, it's like you can rely on someone else to do it, but then, like, I don't know, it's too many days are going by or too many like weeks, and you're like, well, wait, but I really need to get this date booked, and you just, you don't want to be a pain in the ass to this person, so sometimes it's just easier to just, like, do it. But we've had I've really, like, connected on these Facebook groups. There's, like, a lot of Facebook DIY groups, just people, like, want to help. So it's like we always try to help people when they reach out to us, in New York. But we've booked a lot of stuff like that. Like on one tour, like at one hole, I could not book this Tuesday, and like a random person on a Facebook DIY group in Alabama, like put me in touch with her friend in Lexington, Kentucky, and it was like the sweetest thing, and I'll never forget it because it like was amazing. We got the show, and now we have these friends in Lexington and in Alabama, and it was great.
Question? Go ask your question.
So never used a promoter, just everything's done by yourself, right? DIY?
No, I mean, some promoters are great. I think it's like, some promoters are great. I mean, it really, really kind of depends, but like, it's like with everything, like some are and some aren't, and it's like trying to like sift through that as like a band doing everything yourself. It's like, it's overwhelming. So it's like, you just kind of start making decisions, like someone's acting a certain way, it's like, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna like, they're probably not gonna book this, or they're probably gonna back out of it. I mean, I've had promoters at venues like not be communicative, and like that's like really frustrating. But other people have been amazing. So it's like it's just kind of like that's why I have this spreadsheet with all these notes because it's just like going back to it because if you start to forget, and you just kind of like just making ways to make the whole booking process easier, and that for me has been really helpful because it's not like a one size fits all thing, like so it's like going back to the spreadsheet and being like, okay, was that promoter good, or was that venue good, or should I reach out to this band instead and try to have them do it. So it's like overwhelming.
So I think to expand upon Mike's or Beer Guy's question, do you guys use a promoter or are you doing everything yourselves?
Like a regular promoter?
So here I think is the example. Recently in our area, there are a few production groups that have popped up that these bands are paying these people to run their Facebooks and push out flyers and play their stuff on radios and that sort of thing. I think the bands are also still then responsible for their own booking at times, with them kind of filling in bands along the way, or if a bigger venue comes up, maybe featuring them. Are you guys utilizing a promoter in that regard, or are you doing everything yourself?
No, not yet. I mean, we're doing, the only thing we do right now is like we have a publicist at Behind the Curtains Media in Brooklyn, and she's amazing. So like she'll do some promotion like once the tour is like booked and stuff. So she got like some like writers and photographers to come out on the November tour, which was amazing because that stuff like also takes a lot of time. But no, with the booking and with with the actual tour booking and all of that, that's all. Yeah, we're all kind of doing that. And that's why if you look at our routes, they don't really like make a ton of sense. Like they're not a perfect circle. They're not like a perfect line. There's a lot of like backtracking. So that's what happens.
A perfect circle, sorry. You're dropping music references.
Oh, yeah.
So, when you record your music, Lee, where are you recording? Are you going into a studio? Are you doing it like through a friend? And then are you using a distributor?
So for recording, I mean, the last album, we went to a different place. So we're using him again on this next album. And it was kind of like I like so much about. So he's also at Behind the Curtains Media. So he's the person there, the engineer there, and he's awesome to work with. So we're going back to him. Nice little studio in Brooklyn. He does the recording, and then she works on publicity and stuff. So like they're great people, and I've known them for a couple of years now. So it was like really nice to kind of just have them involved and be interested in what we're doing. In terms of distribution, but no, I mean we have like CD Baby put it out on all the sites and stuff, but that's like the extent of it.
Gotcha. Would it be too much then for you guys to do it yourself, where you obtain those tracks once they're recorded, put it on, CD RVs and pass them out in little sleeves? Is it just easier to go through CD Baby?
Well, I mean, CD Baby is really easy for the digital stuff. So, and I think it's like something like $80 or something, and that's like one time. Because I know there's other people who do it, and it's like a yearly fee. But CD Baby's like, it's just really easy. And there's just so many places to put it digitally that I just don't even know what that would look like time-wise. But in terms of like, CDs, that's like, obviously just we have our CDs on us, and if you want to buy one, you can get one. But I do kind of find value in what they're doing, and they don't take a crazy amount of money, which is nice. Which is why we always try to encourage people, like, either buy from Bandcamp or even buy from CD Baby, because they don't take a huge cut. Like iTunes, for example. So.
Gotcha. Or Sony Music.
Right. There's probably more examples.
Yes, they recently flagged one of my videos from 3 years ago when I worked at a radio station, and are disputing my page now. Haha, thanks, Sony Music. So, I've been encouraging bands because the DIY scene has become, I think, a group. It's almost like street teams have popped up. And I've been encouraging bands to at least have one fairly competent friend who understands how to internet to get their stuff onto these multiple platforms. Because after having done this now for over a year extensively, and learning that people are using distributors, and whether you go through CD Baby or DistroKid or a plethora and litany of other ones, even if they... Are you okay? Even if they only take a small percentage... you do lose, that right. So like when we publish it, it says, CD Baby owns it. And so, I've been encouraging folks, because I've gone and researched now to get on like Spotify and iTunes and SoundCloud, Bandcamp, all these other platforms where you can post digitally. It is the same process that a band or performer has to do, as does the distributor, because they have two different sections, but the submission process is the same, and the disclaimer for both is the same.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting approach too, because like I've thought about it. Like I have friends who like only put their stuff on Bandcamp, and like everything else they just actually kind of ignored. So there's like all these different strategies, I feel like, and then it's probably, I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying.
So, when you come through in March and you play in Milwaukee, where are you playing? What time do you play? And who are you playing with?
Bremen Cafe.
Woohoo!
We played a few times. They're so kind and sweet, and we really like playing there. It's a free show, which is great. I'm out of town. We, I believe, are still looking for one more band. And my drummer booked another band like today, so I'm blanking on the name, but I'm going to pull it up because it's in a spreadsheet somewhere. So by the time I start talking about this, I'll know who it is. But we're also touring with his other band. It's called Bare Bones. They're from Detroit, right. So they will be there. and it will be us and the Dead Mortician.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. And you're looking for
Yeah.
one more?
One more, yeah.
May I suggest Billy Dreamer?
Yes, absolutely. I'm writing that down right now.
Yes, I would reach out to Josh Veracek from Billy Dreamer. He also runs Milwaukee Punk Fest that happens annually. So, oh yeah, it's the first of the year.
Okay, cool.
We gotta start working on that too. So,
Thank you.
and if that doesn't work, again, as you are going on tour, if you find pitfalls or like you need help with anything, let us know and we'll send a shout out to our bands and groups and people all over the U.S. too to connect you.
That's great.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
And it was free.
So, merchandise. Let's talk about that. Do you have merchandise available besides your albums that you can purchase on SoundCloud and Bandcamp?
We do. We have 2 different T-shirt designs in a couple of styles, and we still have a couple of the other 7-inch lace cut record that we did, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, and stickers. Can't ever have too many stickers. That's pretty much the merch spread at the moment.
So your imagery and your art for your merch, do you have an artist that you go through, or is it in-house and you do that too, or how'd that come to be?
It's been, so for a while, it was Lisa, the original bassist. Her partner was an amazing graphic designer, so like he did both the t-shirt designs, the current Castle Black name logo, and the cover for Trapped Under All You Know. I had a friend who's a painter do the last album cover. That was just kind of a one-off. And then our other bassist who we were playing with for, kind of like the last 6 months, his wife was doing a bunch of our, like flyers and stuff. And even though he's not going to be playing with us regularly anymore, she still has offered to work on logos and stuff like that, which is really, really great. So we'll be working probably a lot with her over the next couple of months on some new logo, a new t-shirt design, possibly the album cover, and stuff like that. So I just like to kind of like know the person who's doing stuff. We have those 3 videos we have. All friends of mine who did them. And then I recently worked with someone who's not a friend, and it was like such a different experience. Not that it has to be like that, but there's just something about like when someone knows you and knows the music, and like you can just kind of have this like really nice like working relationship, but it's like you're also friends.
Yes, that kind of makes for, I think, some of the best stuff, until they get attitudes and get all butthurt when you're too honest with them.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
As long as you all can quell your emotion to focus on what the job needs to be done, we can still be friends. Want to do dinner? Yeah, I understand that. So it's amazing how quick these go, but we are reaching the top of the hour. So real quick, I want to be able to have you let people know where they can find you. And again, just kind of highlight the dates that are booked on your tour and where folks can stop to see you along the way.
So everything's on our Facebook page is probably a good starting point. That's /CastleBlackMusic.com, Facebook, whatever. And then our actual website is CastleBlackMusic.com. On Instagram and Twitter, it's CastleBlackNYC. The only difference. All the shows, we have all the shows on Facebook.
Good.
And on Band of Town. Band of Town is like a great, I don't know, I get notifications now for bands on there, and I kind of really like it. So those are being pushed through there as well, and they're on the website. So far for March, we've got March 8th in Detroit, March 9th in Grand Rapids, March 10th with you guys, and then Milwaukee that night. The 11th, most likely Fort Wayne. The 12th is open. 13th is Murfreesboro. 14th is Louisville. 15th, unknown. 16th, most likely Asheville. 17th is unknown. 18th should be Norfolk. 19th is Richmond. 20th is unknown. And then 21st is Troy, New York. 22nd, Jonestown, Ohio. 23rd is Indianapolis for Punk Rock Night. and then the 24th is back in Detroit.
Gotcha. So,
That's the current.
how would you describe your sound?
You know, I kind of have to. So I get annoyed that people call it punk because it's not. So like, then I just call it. I call it post punk when people ask me to describe it. Even though I like post punk / alt rock, because then it's like no one's expecting it to be like purely either. So that's kind of my strategy. Because like it doesn't make sense to me. Like so many people just classify it as punk, and I don't get it. Like it doesn't make sense to me. And punk is great, and like we play with punk bands, it's great. But like to describe us as that never really makes sense to me. So like try to kind of correct it a little bit, even though I don't necessarily think like post-punk / alt rock is the best descriptor, but that's what I've got.
Well, then how would you self-identify, Lee? Because that's what I asked, and we validate your opinion of yourself.
Oh.
How would you describe it?
Ooh.
Huh.
Ooh.
I call you rock, and probably because I don't have a better description for it.
Right.
You're not punk to me. But the song that we played on Tuesday was very catchy, and like I found myself humming today the melody, and I'm like, where's that? I'm like, wait a second, that's Castle Black. And so I mean, it's catchy, it's rock, it's, I don't know, energy. How would you describe it, Kif? You listened Tuesday.
It's very. It's well. I know you don't like the label punk, but it's really simple punk rock and roll. That's what I describe it as.
But you should follow this up with what your definition of punk is, because Kif listens to punk that other people wouldn't, I think, classify as punk, that started in the 60s and 70s.
I would agree. It's old man punk.
His socks are tall enough to call it that.
It's old man punk.
Yeah.
And that's come up in some like reviews and stuff too, like where I guess they're calling it like first generation.
Ah.
Whatever.
How would you describe the Detroit band
Socks.
that you're going out with?
God, well, I tell them all the time, I just take what they put on their Facebook page, which is like they're a garage rock duo. But there's more, I think they have more punk elements in some ways than we do, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's like garage rock-ish, alternative-ish, like, but again, like both bands, I think, because like, so there are like other like interesting things that are brought in that I don't really know where that's coming from. So there is this element too, like I just don't know like what to kind of call it.
Here we do. I have an answer for this quandary. Ready? When somebody asks what you are, you just say good, or great, or excellent.
No Clementines.
No Clementines.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. Yes, you should just start answering people that ask what are you with
I should.
that sort of adjective. Excellent.
I'm gonna try that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Descriptive words. There you go. So, Lee, this has been a pleasure, and I thank you for joining us. I'm going to bebop around back and forth on the stuff that you sent us after a short break, and we're going to play Castle Black, and I'm super excited that we get to meet you guys in March.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I mean, this was so much fun, so we're going to have so much fun in person.
Yes,
Awesome.
and we can actually say, and this person plays this, so these people who are like, these weirdos
Yeah,
sitting around this table talking to a phone. It's outstanding entertainment. We have fun here. I'm Anson My Eyes Johnson. Anyways.
How did you get her soul?
Lee, thank you again. Lee is from
Great.
Castle Black. She is the singer-guitarist, and you will be able to catch them on tour with new EP, hopefully finished and done and released in the summer. But new music to actually come out March along with their tour, and you can catch her on Facebook, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and other social media platforms. Sound good?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lee, and we're going to take a short break and play your music. Okay?
Thanks.
Thanks. We'll see you in March.
Bye. Yes.